You're listening to the Business Brain Food Podcast.
Welcome to the Business Brain Food Podcast, the show business owners listen to when they want to take their business to the next level. Head to businessbrainfood.com.au to catch up on past episodes and access show notes from every episode. Now, here's your host, Ben Petrou.
Well, welcome back to the Business Brain Food Podcast. This, my friend, is the podcast that is 100% devoted to taking you and your business to the next level. And the good news is, doesn't matter whether you're just brand new to this business thing, so maybe you're just scratching that entrepreneurial itch, or maybe you're like myself and you've been in business for a long, long time and you've got the scars and the wounds to prove it. No matter what, there's always something new we can do to take our business to the next level. And today is absolutely no different. I will be joined very, very shortly by Stella Petrou Concha, and we'll talk a bit about her entrepreneurial journey and how it could help you grow your business. Now, before we do that, though, just a reminder, this show is brought to you by maximumprofit.com.au. The team at Maximum Profit help you build the business you imagined. So if you imagined a business that was easier to run, more profitable, gave you more flexibility, and maybe didn't cause so much stress in your life, then maybe you need to talk to the team at maximumprofit.com.au. What they'll do is they'll help you get your lead generation right, your sales process, so you can generate more customers, more sales, and more profit out of the business, and you can build the business you imagined. Head to maximumprofit.com.au to learn more. Alrighty, so as I mentioned there at the beginning, we've got Stella Petrou Concha joining us today on the show. She's the inspiring co-founder, CEO and driving force behind a fast-growing brand called REO Group, and her mission is to elevate human potential by working with executives to deliver value for their organisations through leadership, strategy and vision. Welcome to the show, Stella.
Thank you, Ben. Good to be here.
Hey, it's our absolute pleasure. We love having you come on the show and share your story with us. It's what it's all about here at Business Brain Food. Maybe give us a bit of your background. What got you into business? What ignited your spark to be in business?
Well, this is my third business, believe it or not. After completing an undergraduate degree in medicine, I quit in my internship year. I chose the wrong degree, my first big failure in life, and started my first business in neuro-linguistic programming, which was cognitive behavioural therapy. So still kind of related to the medical industry, but doing something very, very different. And that business was my first failure because, you've got to go through a couple before you can learn what you actually got to do with it.
Is it like a rule?
I don't know. It's, if you can get it right the first time, that was pretty good.
Most of us don't, though, do we? Yeah.
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 That was my first business, and after that I started a second business called Dynamic Conversations, which was about helping people in broken relationships reconnect. And it's still medically related, but that didn't go very well. And then I got my first job, and I thought, I've got to get out of this business, this entrepreneurial journey, because I'm not quite sure if I've got what it takes. And a couple of years working for someone got me really realising that no, I'm an entrepreneur. I've got to get back to working for myself. So I'm 38 now, or I'm nearly 38, and I've been self-employed in my own business for over 10 years. And what got me into this current business is a recruitment business. So we work with people that are looking for jobs, or people that are sick and dying of their jobs, sick and dying of their boss, and they need something new. So I still have that, what I call patient doctor relationship, but in a very, very different form, sort of like in a corporate form, I suppose you could say. And I also work with CEOs, CFOs, CIOs, HROs, so executives that run very large businesses in curating strategy and understanding that people are the solution to most business problems. They're also, they're probably the cause of most business problems. So the core thing that I work with is humans, I suppose, and understanding humans and getting them in jobs that really connect with who they are so they can be their best self.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting? I mean, you said you failed in your first business, and that your belief was, a lot of people do, and a lot of people do, like it had to happen. But then you went and you tried working for somebody again. What was it about that you found so difficult when you went, no, I'm definitely an entrepreneur?
I just had a big vision and big energy. And my big vision and my big energy was just too big for a corporate, because corporates have their own vision and they've got hierarchy and architecture that help people hone in on a particular area of their business. And I just couldn't cope with that. I was thinking too big. And, I suppose if you're an entrepreneur at heart, there's a reason why you're an entrepreneur and there's a reason why you're in business. And it's because at the heart of it, your best self, who you are, at the heart of who you are, is someone that needs to own a vision, drive to a certain outcome, and you've got the energy within you to do that. If you've got too much energy, it probably doesn't resonate very well with a corporate or with an employee.
Yeah, so true. I think that's a good explanation, because I think there are so many people caught inside somebody else's vision or business, and they've got a bigger vision than what that business has got. And we see this sometimes even with business partnerships, right? We see business partners that struggle with that. So it's important. I think the other thing that you said that really, I think resonated is that people, can be the biggest, I guess, abler or disabler, like you said, that they can be the biggest asset or your worst asset. How important has it been building business to find the right people to help you on this journey?
Yeah, well, we've been the plumber with the leaky tap for the first probably 7 years of our business. And what I mean by that is we're a recruitment agency and we specialise in recruitment for our customers. So we're meant to know how to do this. But when we were doing it for ourselves, it was bloody hard. So I always say when we were the plumber in the leaky tap or the doctor that was always sick. And it wasn't till I employed a talent executive or a learning and development leader internally within our business that we really started to get it right. And I personally don't think that an entrepreneurial mindset is the right mindset to actually set up correct structures for people to be employed in a safe way where they can get stimulated, where they can learn and develop. I think that there are specialists out there, whether it be employing a consultant or employing someone internally, that can set up those structures for you. So making sure that people have roles and responsibilities that are clearly aligned, key performance indicators that they can work towards, bonus and incentive structures that give them the opportunity to get rewarded when they hit their KPIs, and also a behavioural framework which says, our behaviours or how we behave in our organisation, which is reflective of our vision and values, a hierarchy of behaviours that tells your people whether they're behaving above the line or below the line. Because when you've got a hierarchy like that, it means that you can actually manage people to behaviours and not just performance.
Which is so important, isn't it? Because I think what if you look at statistically, when people build a business, they hire people based on skill, and usually we'll get rid of them based on behaviour.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So I think, I can't remember your original question, but I think really to scale a business, I think that you need to get this right. Like the first 5 years of the business is just swashbuckling and hustling, and you're just, you're in there, you're growing the thing, you're making money, you're getting it out of I have no money, and you're getting it to a place where you've got like a salary and an income. But then, you get to a place where, we need a hierarchy of management. It's beyond a salary and income. This business is now a corporation. And as a corporation, we have certain liabilities to the people that we employ, and they become the centre of our world and not just the customer. Because without your internal team, you have no customer. And without your customer, you have no internal team. So they form like a beautiful symbiotic relationship. And I guess across my journey or across the years that I've been leading this business, it's realising that what I call swashbuckling and hustling, which is what most entrepreneurs know to do really, really well, that actually doesn't grow your business anymore. What grows your business is investing in your people, hiring the right people, keeping them engaged and growing them so they can grow your business.
Yeah, which is so important, isn't it? I have heard that from, different entrepreneurs. It's all about the hustle, but all the hustle does is get you exhausted. I think sometimes there needs to be some strategy behind it. Now, tell us about the first bit. What was your first business?
So my first business was in neuro-linguistic programming, which is a form of cognitive behavioural therapy, which was really, really similar to my original discipline in medicine. So when I was really young, I thought I wanted to be a doctor, and I worked really hard to get the results to go to uni, to get into medicine. But what that was really about is a real deep desire to connect with people and be a massive contributor to humans in this world. when I got into medicine and I got into the system, what I realised is that medicine asks you to be really distant to people. It's actually a process that you apply, and you're kind of like your product happens to be a human, but you couldn't actually get close. You don't find doctors that get intimately close with their patients, and that was not who I was. So I had to leave because it just wasn't who I was. And then when I started with my cognitive behavioural therapy, which is psychology, it gave me an opportunity to actually understand people and connect more deeply with people, which was who I was as a person. So across this journey, I was just following me. I was just, every step that I took, I was just getting to know who I was, and I wasn't scared to leave behind something that wasn't true to me. Like, I wasn't scared to leave behind the degree that I just did. I wasn't scared to give a new business a go because I was just chasing a vacation that would allow me to be my best self. So I actually took my patients out of the hospital and I started seeing them outside of the hospital, but I was making, I don't know, 50 grand a year. And this would have been about 15 odd years ago, maybe more. And back then, I wanted to buy a house, and I went and I asked for a loan, and the bank said to me, your business doesn't make enough money. In fact, you don't make enough money. I'm not even going to give you a loan. And I thought, well, how am I going to do this? And so then I realised that for me, having a business wasn't about just having an employment income. It needed to be sustainable for me to actually have a life and buy a house and get married and have a child. It couldn't just be a simple income like that. So I thought that I didn't, really have the skills at that time to actually grow that business, because that business, cognitive behavioural therapy or psychology, it's still a doctor-patient relationship. It's very difficult to scale. So, I guess that's why I exited that.
So is that something now that when you've got into other businesses, you've thought about scalability and said, can I scale this? Because I do. I mean, as I talk to people, I've done over 200 of these chats, and one of the common themes I see with entrepreneurs is they find a business that has ongoing revenue or recurring revenue that is scalable. Was that part of your decision making, and then the next thing that you started?
Oh, look, I wouldn't say that I thought about that with volition. I'd say I just exited that business because it wasn't sustainable.
Yeah.
But now 10 years in my existing business, it's all around longevity and sustainability and valuation. And what I don't want is a business that needs me. What I don't want is a business that's branded around me. What I do want is a business that has its own brand and its own relationship with our customer, where there is a team or a tribe that delivers that. So that scalability for me is very much related to not having an asset that's dependent on me or my brand to actually grow it or sustain it. And actually, just coming to think of it on reflection, when I started REO, in finding the name REO, which actually doesn't have a meaning or an attachment to anything at all, what I knew when I wanted to start the business is I didn't want the business to be called Stella Recruitment or Stella Consulting, which is what so many of our other competitors do. They grab two partners, the name of both partners, and that becomes the business name, similar to a law firm or similar to an accounting firm. It's very, very similar. So I thought, no, I want a brand like Nike or Coke. It means nothing. It's got nothing to do with anything, and it has no attachment to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. So many people name their business after themselves, and the problem with that is that the business becomes, well, the person becomes the business or becomes very associated with the business. So where did the name REO come from?
I always get asked this question. I hate this question because it doesn't have a deep meaning, believe it or not. So I was sitting one day I was sitting one day with one of my candidates, and she said to me, "What are you going to call your business?" And I said, "I just want it to be something like Saatchi or Nike or some quick. I want it to be 3 letters or 4 letters, something really quick." And she went, "Oh, okay." And then I said to her, "But what I really want the business to be about is I want it to give people real employment opportunities." And she goes, "Well, why don't you just call it REO, Real Employment Opportunities?" I went, "Yeah, okay." But that's got nothing to do with our vision or our mission or our culture or our values. So it's for us, the name of our business is not associated with the purpose of why we're here.
Yeah, okay. So it's always interesting to hear that. So, and a lot of people do that. They start a business, they give it a business name, and then somewhere down the track they go, "Well, this is what it is."
This is what it is. You may as well have given me just a shelf name, really.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, so long as you're clear on what your vision is and where you're heading now.
Yeah, exactly.
That first business you said failed, but what was it that made you define that as a failure? Was it that it just you didn't scale it, or did something happen that was, that freaked you out, where you lost money? Or tell us, what was the failure and what did you learn from it?
I lost a bit of money, to be honest with you. So you do the sums. I was living by myself in a unit in Sydney, and I was living okay. And I was injecting money into the business to grow it. I think I was making about $1,000 a week, and it was probably costing me $2,000 a week to actually, rent out the place, rent out my home. So I had an office in Balmain, just on Darling Street there, across the road from the cop shop. So I had my own office. I had a well-established professional outfit, and I had a lease. I had a 12-month lease. So when I started the business, I didn't start out of my garage or anything like that. I don't have that story. My story is I grabbed what money I had and I invested it, and I set the business up and I gave it my best shot. But it didn't produce an income that was more than my cost to serve.
Mm.
And I think, look, within 12 months, I would have lost about $30,000, which is not a lot of money. I appreciate that in the startup of a business, but when you didn't have $30,000, it was a lot of money, and I was very young and I wanted to buy a house. So that's why I closed that business. And in fact, I still had a lease when I closed that business. I ended up on selling the lease to someone else. And I just wrapped it up. I had to get a job. Survival became more important than purpose in that circumstance.
How quickly did you realise that business was upside down, that it was in the red?
Probably inside of 8 months.
Okay, so pretty quickly.
The first 6 months, pretty quick. Well, yeah, pretty quickly. And I think there was a time there where I was only eating bread and eggs. I would buy eggs and bread, and that was what my diet was, because I was trying to limit my cost of living so I could keep my business running. And it's funny, what I appreciated in my decisions back in that day is that I didn't take shortcuts in running the business. I just didn't know how to grow it. So I remember investing money in the local rag. So I spent $1,000 on a one-page advertisement in the Balmain rag. And I got customers from that. I implemented some of the knowledge that I had from, reading business books. I gave it a go, and it didn't work. And I think, one of the biggest things that I believe entrepreneurs are all about is they learn through failure. And I believe in the law of failure. And I've actually just written a book on this, which hasn't been published yet, but will this year. We don't get taught that failure is our friend, and we don't get taught that only through failure do humans grow. Failure is a dirty word, and it shouldn't be a dirty word. And I've got 2 young children, and I'm making it my absolute focus that they understand that test, failing, learning is a beautiful cycle of life. And it's not to be embarrassed about. And, you can lick your wounds and you forgive yourself, and you've got to learn how to forgive yourself, and you've got to learn that it's okay to lose money. It's okay to stuff that up, because you cannot learn any other way. You can't learn just from a podcast or from a book. You've actually got to experience it.
Yep.
And there's lots of evidence around adult education that only through experience and feedback do they learn.
Yeah, so important, isn't it? Because experience is what then gives you confidence to go and do, or it gives you knowledge, which gives you confidence. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, you talk about that, and it's great. Thank you so much for sharing that with everyone, because I think it is easy to get caught up in the successes and think that it was easy for people and that they haven't experienced failures to get there. But, I mean, here you are now. Your business has won many awards, including being named a BRW Fast 100, which is really well done. Congratulations. Also named one of Australia's top 10 female entrepreneurs, which, is awesome. And here you were eating eggs on toast, trying to cut costs all those years ago. Tell us, what's the difference, do you think, in your mindset back then to now that's enabled you to be so much more successful?
I think the first thing is understanding what your strengths are and understanding what the strengths that you need around you to actually grow your business. So I believe the reason why our business is successful is because of my co-partner, who's also my husband. So we're opposites on the spectrum in many, many areas. So but he is also an entrepreneur, so he's had 4 businesses before this business. I think the success for me has come from understanding that I don't have a strong operational or financial or IT strength in operating a business. I'm very, very strong on sales, people, culture, vision. I'm a visionary. So I needed someone with me that could do what I call business operations. So I didn't start the business by myself. I started the business with my husband, and he had no idea what recruitment was. I was the recruiter in the family. And I think it's the strength of us now is that we started the business by going, what are all of the functions that you need to start a really successful business? Who is going to sit, or who's got the strength to sit in those seats? And who do we need to hire to make sure that those seats are filled so the business can scale? So it's just a much more mature approach.
Yeah, which is a good way to think about it, because you want to put the right players on the right position on the field, don't you? Because otherwise, if you've got somebody who's not strong in a particular area working in the wrong area, that can be a disaster. What do you wish you knew when you started? I mean, now that you've got to this point and you've built a successful business, what is it that you wish you knew when you started out that first business?
You've stumped me on that.
Like, is there any one particular lesson that you've learnt in this journey where you go, geez, I wish I had that lesson in the beginning?
Not really.
No.
I don't have any of those moments. I have to tell you though, I have only learned through failure. So it's almost like saying if you didn't come across that challenge, you wouldn't have learned that lesson. It's like, well, actually, I really appreciate, and I'm so thankful and grateful for every one of those challenges that I've faced. I've faced so many challenges, so many stuff-ups, failures. Oh, that one hurt. Oh, I've lost money. Oh, we've had corporate fraud. Oh, just stuff that you did not think that you would ever experience. One thing that I'm grateful for is that I've never lost my hope. So I think I've had the right attitude going into this business, and it's always to be hopeful, to believe in people, and to never lose your vision for why you're doing what you're doing, because it's brutal. And anyone who says it's not brutal, they've never been in business.
It's brutal.
They don't know business. They don't know business.
It's a war zone out there.
Yeah. They don't know business.
That's it. So what would say has been? Has there ever been a time when you had a failure or something go wrong where you did think about just throwing in the towel and giving up?
Not really. But what I would say is I'm 10 years into my business. I don't want to give up, but I do believe that every human needs to grow. And what's pushing me is what's going to be my next iteration in my business. So I'm the CEO right now, but what about in 10 years' time? What about in 5 years' time? What's my job going to be? So it's about thinking, for me, it's about thinking about the future and what's going to be my next chapter in my business, because I can't do what I'm doing today for another 10 years because that's not, for me, that's not aligned to my philosophy on elevating human potential and human growth. So I believe that our neuroplasticity in our brain can impact our ability, absolutely, to do different things. I do not believe that you cannot teach an old dog new tricks. I absolutely believe that you can continue learning and teach an old dog new tricks. So I want to learn new tricks. So my question is, well, who do I want to be in 5 years and what's my job going to be? And can I get my business up to that?
So you've this BRW Fast 100, I always like to ask the question because everyone's got a different growth rate, but it's always about growing fast. When you achieved that, what sort of growth were you experiencing?
So I think that was about the third year in, or maybe the second financial year statement for memory, 2013, I think that was, or 2014, and it was just rapid growth. I mean, I remember when we started the business, we started with like $500,000 worth of debt. We were out of work for more than 6 months. I had quit my previous job and I had a 6-month non-compete. So we did nothing for 6 months. And we had a mortgage at that time too. So when we started the business, we started in massive debt and we threw money into the business. straight away. So I think it took me in the first 3 months, we built really, really strong quarter, but it took me 5 months to get into profit zone. So that was swashbuckling. That was 7 days working. That was long nights, 7 days, day in, day out. That is just slog. So we've got the BRW Fast 100 is slog, but I don't wear a badge of honour for that, because I think that most entrepreneurs know what that feels like and knows how to do that. So for me, the badge of honour comes in, what are the opportunities that I'm providing my people? Have I been able to elevate people within my organisation to be a better version of themselves? What's my contribution to the community? So, I've kind of grown from the BRW Fast 100 kind of thinking, and I'm more thinking about, longevity, sustainability, connection to the community, human growth, human capital. So it's a different conversation now.
Mm. So just because, again, and now that you've mentioned that, you do have a giving campaign called Elevate a Nation, which aims to provide 50,000 days of education to underprivileged children in Australia by 2021, which I think is awesome. And is that really the driving force now for REO?
No, the driving force is still our vision. We've still got our existing driving force, which is to our current patronage. But the giving campaign is associated with education in Australia. So as you know, in corporate Australia, unless you have a degree, and most often a postgraduate degree, it's very difficult to get a corporate job. So we work in finance, IT, human resources. Unless you've got a degree in one of those disciplines, you just don't get a job. So as a recruiter, I'm actually looking for education when I first read a resume. Now, in Central Australia, only 24% of children have access to a school that goes to Year 10, which means that a lot of children don't get to go to school, and therefore they're the ones that would never, ever get through the door, through REO, into a corporate. And I said to the team, we need to do something about that for our community, because that's a kind of our success comes when we discriminate, when you think about it. And I don't like that. I want to be able to give back to these people so they have an opportunity to have a school. So what I said is that every time we're successful and we place a candidate with a great education that is at the top of their game, that corporates are willing to pay a fee for, every time we have a successful transaction, we're going to give to someone that will never have that opportunity. And we've given about 8,000 days of technology education in just 9 months. And in fact, this afternoon, the CEO of .com Mob, who are based in Uluru, are coming to Sydney, to REO Group, to meet with our team, because as a result of the amount of money that we've given them over the last 9 months, they have opened a new school in Uluru.
Wow.
And
done.
This is what it's about for me. It's taking the next level up and going, if your business is healthy, what else can you do to make sure that you're contributing to the community in a way that it's aligned to your vision?
So would you say that you've done that? I mean, you spoke about the fact that you've moved on from the BRW thing, and that was a great achievement, but you're now looking at a bigger purpose and to do more for your people, and obviously for people outside of your business, but in a community. Would you say that's an important thing for business people to do to keep them, I don't know the right way, to keep them focused or interested or excited about their business?
Yeah, I do, particularly small business. Like when you think about small business, we make up for 90% of our economy. And I don't know if you personally have heard about the UN Global Goals. So the UN announced by 2030, if we can achieve these 17 goals across the globe, we will eliminate poverty, get rid of sex trafficking. Every single human has clean drinking water, just the basic stuff that allows for good human existence. And the sustainability goals for development are a massive campaign that many, many organisations are getting behind. REO is one of those organisations. But they put out a statement that said the majority of the investment that's going to come to achieve these goals is actually going to come out of small businesses, because small businesses across the globe really run the economy. And I found a company called B1G1, like B1G1.com, and they help small businesses like REO find the community not-for-profits that you can support that align to the global goals. So if you're a coffee business you can say for every time we sell a cafe latte, we give 1 day of drinking water to kids in Cambodia. Now, 1 day of drinking water costs 1 cent. So if you sell, 100 coffees a day, you pay B1G1 $1, and that is 100 days of drinking water. So this is about micro giving, not about macro giving. And I think that what that does for small businesses, it gives them a dimension that goes beyond their trade. And people are looking for that. People don't buy products anymore. They buy the why of the product or the service. They buy an emotional reaction. So I think that small businesses have a real opportunity to think about what they can do that goes beyond their trade, and to not worry about how much that's going to cost them, because micro giving can be just as impactful on a culture as it is on the recipient of that money.
Yeah, so important. And if you want to learn more about B1G1, I'll just give a quick plug to episode 209, where I had Paul Dunn on. Now, Paul Dunn is one of the co-founders of B1G1, and we did an episode which was called Building an On-Purpose Business, and yes. Which is, what you're talking about there. I mean, we are in the B1G1 program as well, so it's great to hear that you're a part of that as well.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. See?
Yeah.
It's fantastic. This is what life's about. I love it.
It is. So every time someone comes to one of our quarterly planning events or comes on board as a member, we give education to a child that's underprivileged, same thing that you're doing. And I think it's because it's part of our mission is to make sure people have the education, because people don't fail because they want to fail, right? So you spoke about your first failure. You wouldn't have done that deliberately. Now, you said we needed to do it so I can learn the lessons. But if you could get educated in another way before having to have a failure, I mean, for you, it just meant eggs and toast. But for some people, it means they're out on the street. They don't have a roof over their head. For some people, it means they lose their relationship with somebody that was going to be their soulmate for life because it's put so much stress on their marriage, or sometimes it means that they're working so hard doing that hustle that they're not spending time with their kids. So for everyone, it's different, isn't it? But if we can reduce failure through better education, that's what I'm really focused on. And it sounds to me like you're also focused on helping people become better educated so they do have a better opportunity at success.
That's right. Well, when we know better, we do better. So I agree with you. So
tell us about this journey of an entrepreneur. And I'm mindful of time. We haven't got a lot of time left. But, for you, Stella, what would be your advice to a young entrepreneur, or any entrepreneur? When I say young, not young in age, but young in experience. Let's say I've left my job, or I've come out of school, and I've just decided I'm going to start a business. What 3 pieces of advice would you give me if that was me?
So have a very, very clear vision, purpose, value, which will guide you as your guiding lights. You need a robust business plan, which is the structure that will allow you to execute on your vision. And the other thing would be to really embody the journey, to really fall in love with what's just about to happen. And fall in love with not only the wins but also the failures, because they're both so important. I guess my 4th would be take care of yourself on the way.
Take care of yourself. So we've got a 4th one in there. I love the bonus tips. Love bonus tips.
Love the bonus tips. And underpinning all of that is,
Yeah. So tell us, I mean, your business now, how many in your team?
Yeah, look, we've got just shy of 20. We're a medium-sized agency. We've got 2 offices in Sydney, one in Parramatta, one in the city.
Great. Well, it sounds like you're doing some great stuff there. And as I said, we're just about out of time. How can people find out more if they want to get in contact with you? Maybe they want your help to recruit somebody great for them.
Yeah, there's 2 websites. I've got a personal website, which is my name, stellapetrouconcha.com.au, and I've also got, obviously, the company website, which is REO Group.com.au.
Great stuff. Now, we'll put all those links in the show notes, gang, so you can go to businessbrainfood.com.au. This is episode 221, or you can just search in the search box Stella, and Stella will come up because the spelling may throw you. So just look for Stella or 221, and you will find this episode. You'll be able to go to the show notes and click on all of the links. Well, Stella, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and being open and honest with us, because it is. I think we learn more from hearing about people's failures and what they learned from it sometimes, and their successes and how they did it.
Yes, very much so. Thank you, and I really appreciate the opportunity to share.
And I know you're a big fan of sharing that story and the old failing forward rather than letting failure drag you backwards, which is so important. All right, now we've got the 60-second challenge where I'm going to ask you some quick questions. You're going to give me some quick answers. I'm going to start the clock. You ready for that?
Okay.
All righty. Number one tip for being more efficient.
Plan the night before.
Nice one. Best way to tune out and relax.
Meditate every single morning without fail.
Do you have a hidden talent?
No.
That's good. If you said I could sing, we usually get you to sing, but there you go. It's not going to happen today. What's your biggest addiction?
Coffee.
Who is your mentor?
I have a few, but my muse is Oprah.
Nice. What frightens you the most?
Not being loved.
Describe yourself in one word.
Yellow.
Complete this sentence. If I ran the world,
I would empower people to know that all the answers lie within.
Fantastic. And to finish up, have you got an inspirational quote that you love that you can share with the listeners?
Your inner world governs your outer world. If you want to change your outer world, you must start working on your inner world.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I haven't heard that one before. Beautiful. So once again, thanks so much for joining us on the Business Brain Food podcast, Stella. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you so much.
Hey, it's all our pleasure. It's been great talking to you. Now, if you did enjoy this episode, head across into the iTunes store or your favourite podcast player. Leave an honest review or rating. We do read them all and we love to get your feedback. It is what keeps us driving forward here at the Business Brain Food podcast. The podcast today was brought to you by maxmyprofit.com.au. The team at Max My Profit is growing and we're looking for business accelerators to help business owners build the business they imagine. So if you're a business coach, consultant or advisor, or you'd like to become one, head across to maxmyprofit.com.au, click on the About tab and learn about becoming a business accelerator. If you think you've got what it takes, head to maxmyprofit.com.au and check it out on the About page. All right, well, that's been it for this week. I've been Ben Futrell. You've been absolutely fantastic for tuning into the end of the podcast. It was great to have Stella on the show. Loved her story. Loved to hear about what it is that she's doing. Head across to episode 221 on businessbrainfood.com.au and click on the links there to check out what Stella's up to and get in contact if you want to find out more. All righty, until next week, have a profitable day. See ya.
You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams.